So, hi everyone. I will be presenting on AutoGluon, Get on the AutoML-Wagon. But first and first, I want to thank the organizer, Silicon Brighton. I was almost saying Silicon Valley. Brighton and the Brighton Art organizer. It's such an honor to be here. I wish I could come in physically, but I've got some engagement tomorrow, so that's why I had to do this remotely from my office. So, AutoGluon gets on the AutoML wagon. I believe most of us we are probably familiar with AutoML, so it's been a kind of niche. Let me change the slide. So very quickly about me, I'm currently working as a senior data scientist in Amazon Web Services. I work within the EMEA business operations team. I have a background in engineering and also some mathematical background and project management. And before Mango, I was working as data science consultant. Then from Mango, I moved to insurance, and leaving insurance, I moved to AWS. And just a disclaimer before I continue. Um, AutoGluon, even though it was developed internally by AWS, everything I'm going to say are going to be my own personal information or opinion. They do not represent um, um, any official ground from AWS. So, my very quick approach. I love to keep to time, so I'm going to start at 7010. Yeah, so 710. And then this talk and this particular presentation is going to take about 12 minutes. And then I will move straight to a demo. Then we go to the ARCs, and that will be for about 8 minutes. Hopefully, everything is within an ideal situation. I know quite a number of us are R users. R is my first love, but it's nothing stops us. I wrote an article a couple of years back for Mango where because they know that I'm bilingual, so they were asking me, and which one will you go for, is it R or Python? So I think Jeremy was saying something about the snake language earlier. I'll always say it's always purpose for purpose when you are using any programming language, and that's why I enjoy using the two as much as it comes. We've seen Stationware Prophets package. I think it was originally developed in R, but of course it was ported into Python. So AutoGluon is actually being developed and in Python. And of course, I'm going to do the demo on AWS for those who are Google Cloud users. That's also fine. If you are also Azure, it's also okay. And if it's Linux or Windows device that you use, that's also fine. And of course, if you are a Mac OS user, that's absolutely fine. And what are the contents? We are going to answer a couple of questions. Why do we need AutoML? What really is AutoGluon? How does AutoGluon work? And then we do a kind of quick deep dive with a very brief demo. I'm not going to go deep into the technicalities of how AutoGluon works, but I just want to create some kind of trigger mechanism in us so that we can see the benefits of experimentation, fail-fast approach, and prototyping. And then we move straight to a brief discussion. You can ask me questions or you want to find out a few things and all that. So, why do we need AutoML? According to Analytics AutoML basically aims to automate all time-consuming operations like selection of algorithms, writing the code, pipeline development, and hyperparameter tuning. Most of us are probably conversant with our machine learning algorithms when it comes to R or Python. It's a very long process. You start with your data collection. You want to prepare your data. You want to maybe do some feature engineering, select the algorithm, or even train the model, evaluate the model, tune or even optimize the model. Up to maybe predicting and interpreting your model and so on. All this could take time in the grand scheme of things. So in short, AutoML, what it allows us to be able to do is to create a kind of quick and fail approach. You want to be able to see whether you can get something out of the data rather than spending 6 months and you could probably do something in a week, like a minimum viable product, to see whether there is anything within your data. And it helps for speedy experimentation and efficient prototyping. And one thing that is for sure very important with AutoML is it helps novice onboarding. For those who are not so deep or they have the expertise when it comes to machine learning, they could really use AutoML to do a mini onboarding for themselves. In 2017, it's almost 5 years now, but it's still very much relevant today. Google CEO Sundar Pichai, he said, designing neural nets is extremely time intensive and requires an expertise that limits its use to a smaller community of scientists and engineers. That is why we've created an approach called AutoML, showing that it is possible for neural nets to design neural nets. We hope AutoML will take an ability that a few PhDs have today and will make it possible in 3 to 5 years for hundreds of thousands of developers to design neural nets for their particular need. And yes, Amazon also announced its own release of AutoML to serve as a new toolkit that helps to simplify the creation of deep learning model with just a few lines of code. And of course, that release marks Amazon's entrance into the ultra-competitive AutoML space. And then AutoGluon was born. So you might have had a few open source AutoML to packages or toolkit like H2O, AutoML, AutoKeras, AutoPyTorch, AzorML, and quite a number. I think the Google AutoML is you have to pay for it after a few trials. Now, what is really AutoGluon? If you go to this website, you'll be able to see auto.gluon.ai. It is 100% open source, and that's why I have the privilege to be able to present it. And according to the official webpage, AutoGluon enables easy to use. That is the most important part of this toolkit, and easy to extend AutoML with a focus on automated stack ensembling. Ensembling is something that is we have it within scikit-learn, but very rarely you see people being able to create some kind of ensemble model to see the benefit. But it is very, very useful to have this kind of AutoML toolkit to be able to try that out. And of course, deep learning. I've seen instances where I used to be a trainer with Mango also, even though I was working as a data scientist, I was also a trainer. And when you are really trying to set up deep learning for people, it's a bit complicated. Some of you probably use Python, you use TensorFlow, but what this AutoML AutoGluon does, it gives you the capability to explore using deep learning, and you can also make real-world applications that span image processing, textual data analysis, and even tabular data. So have you ever thought of making a quick deep learning prototype and creating classical ML solution? This is where AutoGluon comes in. Or you want to automatically utilize state-of-the-art techniques without any expert knowledge. It comes in also. Leveraging automatic hyperparameter tuning, model selection, assembly, like I said earlier, and of course, data processing. And one major thing that is here is that you can also create your own model and leverage it on AutoGluon. AutoGluon AutoML can be used for tabular, image, text prediction, and even object detection. I'm going to show a few examples of this later on. So I did not develop AutoGluon, but some of my colleagues internally, they developed this. I took permission from them before doing this presentation, and they gladly said yes. So Alex Skrikov on the right, and Nick Erickson, they are very much working on this, and they encourage people to contribute. And it's fully open source, so you can go to the GitHub page if you want to make contribution, and I'm sure they will gladly welcome you. And just recently, they have there is a capability to use on Windows. I think that was one of the initial challenges. So it cut across all the operating system, like you can see. And one major part of this is impeccable. It has impeccably detailed documentation and tutorials. So if you can try some of these out, you will find how powerful AutoGluon is. How does AutoGluon works? Like I said earlier, I will not be going into the core of AutoGluon framework, but I will leave us with the paper release on one of the AutoGluon approaches by Erickson, Nick et al. titled AutoGluon Tabular, Robust, and Accurate AutoML for Structured Data. I'm going to make this presentation available so that we can have access to some of these references. And this particular paper detail all the step-by-step in comparison with some of the currently existing AutoML frameworks that we have. And you will marvel at how AutoGluon performs. AutoGluon has a large number of models implemented, and these models are optimized out of the box. Talk about your powerful gradient boosting models. It has that capability, SGBoost, LightGBM, CAD-Boost, etc. And of course, when you want to deal with tabular neural networks, and of course, our very popular scikit-learn random forest, Esther-Trace, and K-nearest neighbor. And then state-of-the-art image models like EfficientNet, ResNet, etc. And of course, we have the state-of-the-art text model, your popular BERT, Electra, and the newly introduced Hugging Face is also compatible with AutoGluon. And then there is a cheat sheet that we can have a look at. I believe this is a replica of R. You have the very common cheat sheet. So when I saw this the first time, I was like, oh, this looks like some typical R kind of cheat sheet. So it's very easy to follow, and we can always try it out. So we'll be doing a short demo probably. Okay, then let's have a quick dive. I'm going to be using AWS SageMaker Notebook. You can certainly use your preferred cloud or machine, but the caveat for Windows users, there is currently only tabular prediction capability when it comes to using Windows. And there is a link here. I will leave everything here in the chat afterwards. Let me go to the demo quickly. I think that was about 11 minutes on that. So I'll be using SageMaker. Let me just share the other screen. Can we see my screen? Yeah. So let's use SageMaker. So I'm using the notebook instance. So this is already made available. So in this folder, I've already created the notebook. But if you are really curious, I'm going to leave the link, the GitHub link, so that we can just pull it and see how it looks with all the references. Even the presentation is in here, so that way it's easier for us to have a look. And then, so I'm going to talk about the tabular one very briefly. Okay, we're still good on time. So these are Python code, but I will not run the code. I will just run through and explain the various steps. So basically, this is how it works. You have your AutoGluon.tabular, and you import the tabular dataset and the tabular predictor. It works like your typical read_CSV in pandas, and you can of course pick it up directly from a web link, depending on how you want to do it. For the purpose of this demo, I've already run all the script. You can specify the path you want your model to go into. So everything here is based on the official documentation. I'm going to show the page shortly. Now, after you've read in your data, one caveat is it is very important you do all your pre-processing to ensure you have, if you want to do any primary feature engineering, secondary feature engineering, that is important because you want to be able to control the narrative. But if you don't even have time to do that, you are very concerned with a quick experimentation and prototyping. AutoGluon has a capability to really undo that. You can see the ongoing log. So it's just a one-liner, tabular predictor. You already specify your target. I have that here. So I've already assigned the target, which is the class. You already specify it. You just need to add it, and you specify the path where you want the models to be saved. And the reason why this is important is you don't want it to be saved anywhere. You want to be able to use it either in production to reference it and all that. There are a number of systems that this has been used for in production. Now, one major thing that we have to note is that it has the capability to detect whether you are dealing with a binary classification or a multi-classification or even a regression. So it can easily identify. So there's a way you can set this, but it will detect it automatically. And an amazing part of this is that it fits in all the popular algorithms from k-nearest neighbor to LightGBM. And you can see it does its own feature engineering internally. It processes all the categorical variables, all the numerical variables. It does all the processing and even check the memory allocation. And internally, it creates a kind of train validation internally. You can also control that. Now, after running all that, now the error you're seeing here, let's ignore it because I've created a mini version of this. So that doesn't affect your results. This is for the neural fast AI that this is being used. Now, the most interesting part of this is that immediately your predictor is ready, it creates some kind of leaderboard. And the way the leaderboard is, it highlights the results and gives you the best model. So you have a kind of overview of what the best model is. I can zoom in on this properly. And you can see there is even the weighted ensemble using L2 regularization. So if you prefer to use to go with card boost, having the best result, you can easily just call that. But for the purpose of this demo, I'm just going to call my test data. I remove the colon, then I can just call it and predict. It's as straightforward as that. You just use your predictor to predict. There is also an instance whereby you want to check all the metrics being used. It has the capability to give you your accuracy, either balance accuracy, MCC, F1, precision, or recall. Then, if you have your model saved somewhere, you can also load it. For example, you want to put this into production, you can easily load it and be able to predict. It has that capability. And of course, if you want to see the performance of your test prediction, you can easily see that also. You can see is XGBoost that it chose for this one. Now, if you want to make your prediction based on probability, it has the capability for the predict proba also, and that can really easily give you the probability of what the prediction is all about. I've got a few minutes on this part, but I will quickly run through. There is also another part. If you want to maximize, you want to train your model based on a particular metric, it also has that capability. It's just specifying preset best quality and assigning the metric you want to use. And one major thing that is important is there is a concept of early stopping. You can easily use time limits to really control that also. So it is quite limitless. I will encourage us to look at the documentation and see how this works. And you can likewise go for your common metrics when it comes to confusion matrix or classification report. It's the possibility is endless. So very quickly, I'll go to another example that I've created. Is very, very basic, and that is the object detection. And this is just out of the box. It's so basically I just call my AutoGluon.core and then computer vision. I don't know whether we have a number of computer vision enthusiasts in the house, but if we have any computer vision enthusiasts, you can easily play with this. I'm not going to go into the core detail, but you can easily play with it and see. And AutoGluon can easily be used for this object detection. There is an extensive documentation here that we can have a look at. So, and the documentation talks more on fitting a model when it comes to object detection. And let me go here. So everything is well detailed. You be rest assured that the documentation is very, very good. And if you want to play with the image prediction, you can likewise do that. I think the only caveat to this is that this is in Python, but if you have any curious mind, it would be great if you can play with this and see what the potential of this is. So in one of my conversations with one of the developers, they are looking for people who could actually help to port this to R, because I think the capability of this is quite limitless. So if you're interested, you can go to the URL. I'm going to share my screen, my presentation slide now. You can go to the URL and have a conversation with them. Just reach out to any of them and they will respond to you. I've got a list of references here. If anyone is interested, you can just play with this. Thank you for listening, and then we go straight to question and answer.